Hi BookTube, it's Marianne from We Last Read a Book, and this is my first BookTube video. I'm quite excited but also really nervous if this is trash. I'm so sorry. So I was originally going to do the newbie tag because obviously I am a newbie to the community. I watch the videos but I've never partook as such. So instead I'm doing my Reading Rush TBR for the readathon, which starts tomorrow. Now, the Reading Rush is a week-long readathon which runs from the 20th until the 26th of August, and there's a list of prompts that you can choose to follow if you like. I'm going to leave the links to the Reading Rush website, which has badges that you can collect for participating in the readathon. It also has a forum where you can discuss with other readers what you're reading and your thoughts in the book and everything like that. And I'll also leave links to the Reading Rush social media as well in the box below. So I decided to follow the prompts, squeeze as many books in as possible. I'm hoping to get through them all, but I don't have high hopes because the kids are off school on summer holidays, so it's just trying to find time to read. But I have 2 books in my Kindle because I like to read in bed at night. And obviously you've got the backlight there, so both of those I'm planning on reading at night during the week. And then the other 4 are paperbacks because I decided to combine 2 of the prompts. Again, to try and lessen the blow if I don't manage to finish them by the end of the week. So, prompt number 1 is read a book with a cover that is the same colour as your birthstone. So I am an October baby. So my birthstones I had to choose between were opal and pink tourmaline. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but if not, I don't care because the colour is pink. And I decided to read Headscarves and Hymens, Why the Middle East Needs a Sexual Revolution by Mona Eltahaway. And I felt this was an important book to read. It's a non-fiction book which explores the treatment of women in the Middle East, particularly in Muslim communities, their life experiences, offering perspective to people who are Western liberals who say, oh, it's just cultural differences, because there is a fine line between cultural differences such as the way someone dresses, religion, colour, everything like that, and then outright misogyny. So the book explores that. I've read a few excerpts from it, and I've seen interviews with Mona which have really captured my attention and made me want to read the book. I know that it's been quite controversial and I don't know how I feel about reviewing it because as a white woman living in Scotland, I don't really have the same life experiences. I can only say my opinion on the book and how it's changed my outlook. I like feminist non-fiction, so it's a perfect read for me, and I really look forward to reading it. So the second prompt was a book starting with the. So on my Kindle, I'm reading The House Guest. No, I'm not. I'm not reading House Guest. I'm reading The Guest List by Lucy Foley. And it's a crime thrillery kind of book which is set on a small island off the coast of Ireland, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it is based during a wedding where I believe someone is murdered, and it's told from the perspective of different characters within the book, and I'm assuming that the story involves how the crime plays out and how they discover who actually perpetrated the murder. So I'm quite looking forward to reading that. I actually started it on Saturday, so it's kind of cheating, but to be fair, I only read 2 pages and then fell asleep because I tried to read it at like 2 a.m. So I'll be picking that back up. I'll be reading this in bed tonight. No, after midnight, not tonight. So technically tomorrow. So the third prompt was a book of a movie you have already seen. Now, I'll be reading The Princess Bride by William Goldman. The Princess Bride is my favourite film of all time. And I have read the book before, but my copy is absolutely destroyed, so I bought a nice fresh new copy and I have saved it for the Reading Rush. So basically The Princess Bride, I'm getting all excited. The Princess Bride is set around the characters of Buttercup and Wesley. Wesley is a farmhand, Buttercup is a beautiful woman who Wesley falls madly in love with. Wesley goes on an adventure basically, and gets captured by Dread Pirate Roberts, and the story sort of goes from there. Buttercup wants to save Wesley, Wesley wants to get back to Buttercup. Prince Humperdinck, who is this trash of a man, he is obsessed with Buttercup and wants to get married to her, but she doesn't want to because she falls in love with Wesley, and basically there's fencing, there's sword fights, there's poison, there is drama, there is adventure. It is literally the best movie of all time, and I'm so gutted because I got told it was going on Disney Plus, but it only went on the US Disney Plus, so I'm gonna have to find it. But I don't even care if I have to buy a new DVD and a DVD player. But I need to see the film again, and I'm hoping that after reading this, I can pressure my kids into watching it, because I've been trying to get them to watch it for years and they're just not interested at all. So I'll just be like, guys, you seriously need to watch this while you're off on holiday. There are no excuses for time. So the fourth prompt was read the first book you touch and also read a book outside your house. So the first book that I lay my hands on when I went to my bookshelf was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Now, I have had this on my TBR for ages and still haven't got around to it because I wanted to watch the series first. Normally I would rather read the book first, but I'd heard such amazing things about the series that I couldn't really wait. But I watched the first 2 episodes and then I got a new job and there was other personal life stuff that kind of came up, and I ended up not finishing the series. So I am planning on reading the book and then going back to the series to see how it is. So the story I'm using for my read outside as out of all the books I have, apart from one, but I'm reading that in bed because it's on my Kindle and it's got backlight. So this has got like 300 and something pages, 305, 307. So I'm going to read this outside. The weather's kind of unreliable in Scotland, so basically I don't know if I'm going to be able to read that much outside. I have a little like a little terrace thing at the top of my outside stairs. I could probably sit and shield myself from the rain if it starts raining. But if all else fails, I have a very bright window in my living room, so I could sit next to the window, which is kind of a cheat, but you know, sometimes it's like that. And I can't leave the house to go in the places I would normally read because of the lockdown and social distancing and stuff like that. So my library is still closed. They were allowed to open as of the 15th of July, but they're being really super careful, and they want to make sure everything in place is going to ensure the safety of the staff and any customers coming in and out of the library. So I would normally sort of go read there or read in the park that I go to, but the park's quite busy, and also I would need to take the kids because they're off on holiday, and I don't think they're going to be really, unless they find something that they're able to do, climb trees, ride their bikes or whatever. I think I'm pretty much relegated to round about my house, in the local kind of catchment. I have a side garden and a back garden, so hopefully if the weather's nice I can just sit out in the sun and read it. But to be honest, it looks quite cloudy right now, so hopefully it'll clear up during the week and it'll be nice enough. Right, Marianne, you're jabbering on, shut up. So the sixth prompt is a genre you want to read more of. So my least read genre, my not read genre at all, is westerns. I am not interested in westerns whatsoever. So I really didn't want to read that. So I'm going the next one up to sci-fi. Now I don't read sci-fi not because I don't like it. I really enjoy it. But the books in my TBR generally so far tend to be, it's mostly non-fiction I've got in there, and I read a lot of non-fiction, so that's out. Fantasy books and also romance novels, historical mainly. So I downloaded on my Kindle Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Now this was originally a short story, which was then developed into a full-length novel, and I have serious concerns about reading this, and the reason why is the reviews I've seen is people have become emotionally trashed by this. Now, I'm quite an emotional person anyway. I am a snowflake. I am a very tender, gentle flower. And everybody I know that's read it said that they've cried. So, story centres around a character who is a floor sweeper slash domestic slash cleaner, and he has a low IQ, and he is consistently trying to better himself, but to no avail. So he takes part in a human experiment where they're trying to boost people's IQs, and he meets the original experiment subject, who is Algernon, who is a rat. Now, the synopsis slash blurb basically said that as he goes through this experiment, his intelligence increases to the point where he reaches like genius level. And while he lived in this world of his own where he was convinced that there was nothing wrong, everybody loved him and everything like that, he finds out that people had actually been making fun of him, slagging him off and things like that, so he obviously goes into emotional kind of turmoil over that. And the rat Algernon, it also said that he deteriorates through the book. So if the rat dies, I am an animal lover. I watch a lot of nature documentaries. I have pets of my own, rodents. So if the rat dies, it's going to emotionally hammer me, and it's not going to be a good time. I'll probably cry. Again, this is on my Kindle, so I'm going to be reading that in bed. Probably not a good idea if I'm going to end up crying. And I'm really looking forward to reading it, and hopefully after that I'll pick up more sci-fi intentionally rather than sort of accidentally. I don't know. Anyway, so number 7 is read a book from on a different continent. So it's a bit of a cop-out because most books that I have read have been based in this continent, but I decided to read Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid, which is also the Reading Rush book club read. And it's set in, oh, there's a fly in here, which is set in North America. But to keep it kind of diverse, the main character is a black woman, and the book was written by a woman of colour. So I'm keeping the diversity going in here. The authors in my TBR, there is female authors, there is women of colour, so, and characters of colour. So I'm trying to keep it as diverse as possible. Again, it happened unintentionally, but it's good to keep a bit of diversity in your reading list. So the book centres around a character called Mira. She is a babysitter, and she babysits for a woman called Alex. I believe her name is Alex. Yes, Alex. Who is a white woman, and she takes the child she's looking after to a shop, and she gets arrested for kidnapping. So it kind of, you assume from the blurb and the synopsis that it's going to be a sort of racial profiling type situation where they see this young black woman with this little white child and just automatically make assumptions in the situation. She's kidnapped this child, and she gets arrested. So throughout the story, the secondary character, Alex, wrestles with her own sort of white privilege and the treatment of Amira throughout. See this fly? Oh my god. Wrestles with her own privilege throughout the story. And I think, again, it's an important read because even though it's fiction, it still explores racial profiling, white privilege, things like that. Because, again, while people don't want to acknowledge that they do have privilege, especially if they are of another minority, for example, I'm obviously a woman, so I face misogyny, sexism. I'm a bisexual woman. I've been told that's not a real thing, but most of your partners in the past have been men, so how can you be bi? If you decide to get married to a man, then that automatically like diverts you back to being straight, and I'm like, that's not right how it works. But anyway, that's beside the point. But I still have that privilege of I have light skin. I live in Scotland, and my issues are not the same as a woman of colour. and I can acknowledge that and appreciate that there are things that people of colour come up against in their everyday life that I don't come up against. I don't get stopped by the police for the colour of my skin. I don't have assumptions made by my intent when I go places, and things like that. So it's an important reading. I like to keep fiction and non-fiction on my shelves that do acknowledge social and cultural issues. So yeah, I think this marries up quite nicely with other books I have on my shelf. So again, I'll be doing a review on this. So that is my TBR for the reading rush. I am going to leave the links that I suggested below, the list of the books, and I'll be vlogging throughout this. I don't know if I'm going to post them daily or if I'll just wait till the end of the week and put them all up at the same time. And I'll be reviewing each book as I finish them so that everything's nice and fresh in my mind. So if you haven't already, go through together a TBR because it starts tomorrow. After midnight tonight, you are free to embark on your journey. And good luck. May the odds be ever in your favour. I hope you manage to get through all your books. If you don't beat yourself up. It's one of those things. Reading is for enjoyment, not for achievement. Unless you work as a reader for a company, in which case it is a necessity. But if you're reading for fun, go for it. Have a good time. And hopefully this isn't the most tragic first video that's ever been posted on BookTube. So take care everybody. Bye.